Okay, so remember in the last emoji lab, we were moving our emojis with the arrow keys, and we said if I click on the right arrow key, I move my emoji like with the dot move function, however many pixels I want to the right, etc. And remember that like we did last time, it happens here in this part of our skeleton, and we switched on the type of key pressed. I'm not going to go over this again because we did it last time, so I'm going to do exactly like I did in the last time's code, event.type equal. Okay, so I'm saying if a key was pressed, I want to know which key it was, so I'm switching on event, which is stored in event.key.code. And طبعا, if the key is escape, so if my user clicks on the escape key, keyboard, escape, I'm closing my window. And if, case keyboard, if my user clicks on the left key, I want to move my player to the left. If they click on the right key, but let me just test this and make sure it works. I just want to make sure I didn't ruin anything. Escape should close it, perfect. Okay, type. There's some things I want to just go over before we get into moving the player. Okay, I hope you realize that the set position, why we multiplied by 100, is because we're basically saying, like, give everything when you set its position 100 pixels, like, so it can show, if that makes sense. So instead of, like, for example, the first time this loop runs, it's going to be at x equals 0 and y equals 0. صح? The second time, j will become 1. So it's set it at position 100 and then 0 instead of 1 and 0. Like it's gonna go, instead of it going 1 pixel down, it's gonna go 100 pixels down, and that's for it to accommodate the room, like the room of my image of my player, because it's big, it's not very small. It needs 100 so it can even show. When I come to move it, I'm probably gonna move it by 100 pixels so it can move to the next one. If that doesn't make sense, again, it's okay. Trial and error. You'll try it and you'll see that something's wrong. You'll increase the number that you're moving it by, you'll decrease it. It's all trial and error, but I'm just trying to explain the underlying theory. So you can, like, when you come to decide and try what number you're moving by, you can, like, have theoretical background for it. But yeah. I'm not going to explain the move function. It's exactly the same as the circle function. It works on, like, remember last time the move function worked on a circle shape? It's the same function, it also works on a sprite. If you don't know that, also the documentation will tell you everything you need to know. You'll just control find move like we did last time. And it's the same exact function. It adds the number you give it here to the x position, and it adds the number you give it here to the y position. Left, okay, we'll call our sprite, which is player.move. I think it's player, again, my memory is awful, let's make sure, yeah, sprite player. Player.move, and if I'm moving left, then my x position decreases, minus 100, and my y position stays the same. Let's run and make sure that that's correct. Okay, good. Of course this shouldn't happen, and we will go into that later, but at least now I know that I did the right thing. Let's just fill these in exactly like we did with the circle. I'm not going to go over them to not like waste time. Right, by moving right, that's 100. Up, I'm going up. Then I am decreasing my y, minus 100. Then moving down, then I am increasing my y. Let me just test it. Okay, good. Okay, this, I definitely don't want my player to be able to move on the bricks. We need to add some, and I also don't want my player, okay, see, I don't want my player to ever go past the bounds. I don't want that either. So we need to add some form of validation to make sure that this move function is only executed if my player is allowed to move there. So what tells me if it's safe to move? What data structure do I have that gives me the information of what exists where? It is my character array. And where do I have the position of my player? I have it here in int player x and int player y. That's why we kept those variables. But basically, and remember, for two structures, like like two variables or sets of variables here are gonna help me know if it's safe to move or not. My character array, not the sprite, not the sprite array, not the maze, the character array and the positions of my player. For what I'm, remember when I first run this code, let's try to understand what the initial positions are. My player X and player Y are 0, 1, 2, are 2 and 2. But I want to ask myself to know if it's safe to move on to the next one. I need to make sure that in my character array, which is this thing, I want to make sure that the position I'm trying to go to is G, not H, is anything other than H. And that's how I know I can actually move here. If the corresponding position in my character 2D array is not H. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay. Okay, if I want to go left, then I'm gonna take and I have to update my player X and my player Y. If I'm moving left, I need to make sure. Actually, let's think about it like this. If I'm moving left, then if I'm moving left, then my player X. Let me actually think about this. Let me think about this and get back to you guys.